That is down. Today is the first of the weekly live training that I'm going to be doing about teaching you how to take your experience and turn it into income. And by income, I mean through digital offers and like a digital product hierarchy. So, what we're going to be learning today is the experience to income framework. Oops, hold on. I cannot reach that. So, we're going to use a different pen. I got my whiteboard and we're going to get to teaching. So, first things first, when we think about first things first, let's break it down. What is a digital offer? So, we're going to reverse engineer this. Okay. So, you have your experience, you have your income. The income is going to come from your digital offer. So, what is a digital offer? So, when we think of a digital offer, ooh, I like that color. Digital offer. This can be a number of things. Okay. Your digital offer can be coaching. Okay. This is delivered digitally, utilizing yourself. You come on and coach somebody through something, you help them through something, whatever. You can do an ebook. You can do a masterclass. You can do a private podcast, a workshop, a guide, which goes right into ebook. So ebook or guide, templates. Those are all like typing ones. You can do a full style course or mini course. And those are some of the basics. Okay. So we'll stick with this list for now. So some of the digital offers you can create are right in here. The first digital offer that I ever created and sold on the internet was an ebook. I wrote an ebook right down here. And what I did when I did this is I took an experience that I had. So this was back in 2019. I had my firstborn son was a newborn. He was like 3 weeks old. And I really did not want to go back to corporate. And so I was like, what can I do to make money online fast? That's subjective, but fast, right? And so I thought about it and I wrote out like the skills that I had. And I was like, what do I know really well that I could teach? So by the time that had happened, I had 2012 to 2019. I had 6 years of corporate sales experience. And so my during all of my time in corporate sales, I learned a lot of different sales techniques. I learned consultative sales. I learned the Miller Hyman technique. I learned full cycle sales. I learned all these different things, right? And so what I did, I learned sales for personal trainers and selling fitness packages and things like that. And the thing that I realized along all of these sales methodologies was the common denominator was figuring out what your client needs, right? But I saw a gap because I had started to get into the entrepreneur space. And what I recognized is a lot of the people in the entrepreneur space were talking about what they could do for you without actually finding out what it is their client even needed. That was a disconnect that I had noticed back then. And so I'm sitting there, it's like the middle of the night. I've got my newborn with me and he's sleeping on my chest and I'm awake and I was like, what can I do? What can I do? And so I decided right then and there, I said, I'm going to teach service providers, business service providers, how to sell their services and how to do it in a full cycle sales process. And so I created my very first ebook, a digital offer that fell right here in this category ebook. I created it, I packaged it, and I put it online. And when I put it online, I did not have no following. Like I said, I had just started dabbling into entrepreneur space. So I was maybe in like 2 or 3 entrepreneur Facebook groups, but I was only on Facebook. I didn't have like a secondary Instagram like I do now. I didn't even know what Substack was. I didn't go on Twitter. Threads didn't exist. TikTok didn't exist. Like, even if it did, I didn't know it didn't exist. TikTok didn't exist. I didn't utilize Pinterest as a search engine. All I had was Facebook. And I was like, what the heck? So I took that ebook from my corporate skills and I sold it on the internet. And that was the first time I ever made money online. And what that did mentally is that showed me I can take something that I've been through or something that I've learned and I can turn it into a sellable offer, into a sellable product. So I sold that ebook. Fast forward, I learned what a niche was. And so I took that ebook and I had somebody at this time, this was a few months later, I had invested in my very first business coach and she liked the ebook and she had told me to niche it down. So I said, okay. So I took that same ebook and I turned it into an ebook specifically for personal trainers and fitness coaches on how to sell their training packages because that was one of the experiences that I had. That was a niche experience that I had, right? The other stuff was like telecommunications and B2B, but that was a very niche sales experience that I had. And so I took that and I revamped it to sell to personal trainers. From that, I took that and sold it into a 6-week course, a 6-week workshop. This was a live workshop. So from ebook to workshop, I'm gonna draw a little arrow. And what I'm doing, I'm giving you an example of how one offer can turn into many, because this is exactly what I teach inside of the Empress Authority so that you're not constantly reinventing the wheel, but you can do the same teachings at various price points so people can meet you at different levels and you don't have to put out as much as you think you actually have to put out. You don't have to have 7 different experiences and topics that you're teaching on. You can still teach on the same thing. So anyway, so I turned my ebook, I turned it into a workshop. This was a 6-week workshop. It was called Fitness Business Bootcamp. And I had one person enroll and that was fine. I was happy with that. I had one person enroll. We did a live. So he ended up getting like a one-on-one coaching back in the day from me. And so we did a live sessions every single week for 6 weeks. And that was the very first workshop that I did. And that was the very first arguably coaching that I did that was paid because then it turned into coaching. And so that is how I got started. So for you, if we look into the experience model, right? So you know a variety of offers. Well, you know a variety of offers, and the offers can make you income. So let's get into the experience piece because the methodology is experience to income. So when we think about experience, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not apologizing for my handwriting. That's just how that's just how sloppy I write. So when we think about experience, experience can be so many things, right? So your experience can be, let me see. You can have a life experience that you walk somebody through. So experience, a life experience. You can take, and I hope you guys can hear me. My heater is on, but it is cold. Experience. You can have a skill slash job experience. So that's exactly how I got started, right? I knew I had a corporate skill. I knew I had a job experience that I could teach on, that I felt confident to teach on. So I took that and I took that into the package. So you can have a life experience, you can have a skill or a job experience that you take and that you package. One of like one of the things that, well, there's like this, there's the sales one that I did. I just lost the example I was going to give you guys. Hold on. Um, But then like another example, career coaches, that's what I was gonna say. So then you also have people who are like really good at career, finding jobs, right? They know how to do resume work really well. They know how to get past the ATS, I think that's what it's called, the ATS system that is wreaking havoc on a lot of people right now, right? They know different things like that. So if you have that level of experience and a skill in that, you can turn that into a digital offer. The beauty about turning things into a digital offer, you guys, is you can absolutely run with this and make this your full-time income and make this your full-time job is to, just get on here and sell your digital offer and teach people. You can also make it a side hustle. Raise your hand, leave me a 2 in the comments, whether you're live or on the replay. Leave me a 2 when you get to this point and let me know if even a side hustle like would be good. If an extra $2,000 a month would be good. And shoot, an extra 500 for a lot of people can go a long way. So you don't have to look at this like as a big picture thing of I need to make six figures in my first month and blah, blah, blah. You don't need to look at it at that level yet. You can look at it as, okay, I have something that I can teach others. And maybe it starts off as a side hustle. Maybe it starts off as a way to make some extra money and then you scale it from there. Or maybe you're like me and you're like, no, I don't want to go to corporate. I want to go all in on business and you run with it. Okay. So there's different options here. So experience, skill, or I'm sorry, life experience, skill or job experience. And I'm going to even say entrepreneur experience. And I'll give you an example of an entrepreneur. So I don't have enough room. I'm going to say biz experience. Okay. So a business experience, I talk about this in my content, but a business experience is turning something that you've done in business into a digital hierarchy, right? And I gave an example on Facebook yesterday. So if we're not connected on Facebook, go find me. It's Nikki Lynn Mayo. I gave an example yesterday on Facebook for realtors about turning their business experience into a digital business hierarchy, diversifying income under one umbrella, right? So if the one umbrella is real estate, right? And you're a realtor, for example, and you're like, this is great, but I only make money when I sell homes. And listen, I don't know the ins and outs of real estate, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I only make money when I sell homes. I want, I want different ways to diversify my income. If you've had success in selling homes, you can take that success and talk to up and coming realtors. You can start to train them, mentor them, coach them on your methodology. Do you have a specific method that made you a top seller? And you can turn around and teach that. And then you get into the different ways to teach that. So on the last whiteboard drawing, right, I listed out all the types of digital offers. So you can start with a guide. You can, um, and you can do B2B or B2C side with this, but let's look at the B2B side for a second. So you can start with a guide, and your guide can be something like, how to get started in your real estate business. And you can even be more specific. You can niche down if you want. How to get started selling vacation homes in your real estate business, right? And then you could talk about your story, how you made X amount of money selling only vacation homes in your first year of real estate. These are just ideas. You take that, it's a guide. You sell that, you package it on $27, $17, right? Free if you want as a lead magnet. You could do it free. Then you start to get some leads on an email marketing platform and you own these emails and it's great. So you could do that. Your next level could then be maybe you have a course, a mini course, or you have a live workshop, right? And this is where you're teaching. This is where or you have a live workshop turned mini course. And you start to teach people about your methodologies and how you did it and, how they can get started in real estate simply selling vacation homes. So then you do that. We'll say as a live workshop, right? You host a 6-week workshop, an 8-week workshop, whatever. Then you take that. Now you have your own product. You take that workshop and you add some deliverables like some PDF templates and things like that to it. Now you have a course and you turn it into a course and you put it on a course hosting platform like Stan or like MemberVault. And as you put it on a course hosting platform, then people can come and they can purchase the course while you're out selling homes, right? You have a back end funnel set up. They get your free guide. They can then opt in to get the course to really deep dive into it. You could take it a step further if you have time, and you can turn that into a mentorship program. And so now you're coaching people at a high ticket price point. I'm talking like, 3 to 10K. And you're coaching people on how to get started in their real estate business, selling vacation homes or selling homes to first-time home buyers or selling rental properties or whatever it is, right? So that is how you take an umbrella, in this instance, real estate. That is how you take an experience. Let's scale it back. That is how you take an entrepreneur experience, say real estate, and you take one umbrella and you diversify your income because now you have your home selling income, which is your number one. And then you have your coaching income, and then you have course income, and then maybe you have an ebook that you sell, and then maybe you have a free guide, right? So you have these different offers under one umbrella, and you're not doing anything, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're not doing anything different. You're taking your own experience and you're sharing it with others. And this can be applied to several other job niches, right? Or I'm sorry, several other, job and business niches. You can apply the same methodology to just about anything as long as there is a demand for it. Nikki, I don't know if there's a demand for it. Go search the internet. Go start searching and see what people are asking for. Go on Google, go on Pinterest, go on TikTok, and start searching the things that you know, the things that you have experience in, and see if other people are asking for guidance on there. Because if they're asking for guidance, then you have an audience. You have somebody who needs the knowledge that you already have. My heater is burning my arm now. Oh my goodness. I'm turning that off. Anyways, you have somebody searching for what you already have, the knowledge that you already have. That's the best way to start because now you know it's viable. See, the problem that I had is I would create things for the sake of creating things. So I would create all these offers for the sake of creating them. And some of them sold and some of them, or a lot of them sold, but some of them did not. And the reason the ones did not was because I did not even look to see if it was viable. I did not even look to see if people were having these problems. Or I saw that they were having these problems, but I changed the language so people didn't really know that what I had could solve the problems. We don't want to do that. So different levels of experience. And then we get back into different levels of income. So this is your experience ooh, to income. And I kind of just touched on that, but we're going to do some more. So once again, these are the income piece is your digital offers. So we could do one-on-one coaching. We could do ebook or guide. We could do workshop. We could do a course or mini course. Ooh. You can also do a group coaching. Okay. Can you all see that? So experience to income. And then you have all these different little outlets that can make you income just from one experience. So pick an experience, life skill, business, type of experience. Let me give you a life example of overcoming some type of hardship, actually. So when you think about a life example, right? So a life example could be something along the lines of, I know I had done one. So I have 3 children. And when I had postpartum with my second, I had a very hard postpartum emotionally and mentally. Very hard one. And I took that experience when I finally could like see a light on the other side. I took that experience and I recognized a lot of moms have the same postpartum like experience. I had postpartum depression, I had postpartum anxiety, and I had a slight twinge of postpartum rage. And it was mentally insane. Externally, it was fine. So anywho, so I took that experience and I remember creating something that I had called a mindful minute method. And I just remember thinking like, and it was so simple, right? But the way my hormones were, it sounds so simple now, but the way my hormones were, I needed this. So I created something called the mindful minute method. And it was about like pausing, taking a moment, all of these things before responding to my children because I was getting really snappy. And so I did that. And I realized that this was not something that was common knowledge for me because I didn't have that type of upbringing where people paused. Okay. So this was something that I had to learn. And it was in that moment that I realized how many other moms out there like don't know anything about like taking a moment to pause because this is new to me. Like now it seems so silly. Now I'm like, well, of course. Right. But back then I was like, this is brand new. So, anywho, so I took that and I turned it into an ebook and it was called Mom's Journey to Mindfulness, Embracing Calm in the Chaos. And that whole thing structured around the mindful minute method. And more importantly, it's structured in how to squeeze in pockets of time and retrain your own brain to see these pockets of time as, not, oh, I only get XYZ amount of time, but how to see it and take advantage of the time. So for example, one of the biggest headaches and hiccups that I was in back then was thinking that I had no time to myself and like, oh, well, everything that I do is for somebody else and I only have 5 minutes a day or I only have 10 minutes a day, right? That's what it felt like. And so the whole thing was around retraining your brain to, instead of seeing it as I only have XYZ, to start seeing it as, how can I optimize this to show up better, right? How can I optimize this experience to show up better for my children? So that's what the book was about. So that was me taking an experience and turning it into an ebook. I turned it into an ebook. That one I didn't take any further. That one I just kept it as an ebook and that was that. But that's an example of how you can take a life experience and turn it into something else. There is a woman that I follow on Instagram. Her name is Chaos with Kara. I love her content. It's so relatable, right? But she took her experience of too much screen time for her kids. She took her experience of, her and my kids are the same age gap. So she had three that were under 5, the same time that I had 3 under 5. So anywho, I remember hearing her story. She had relied a lot on TV, a lot of screens for her kids because she had hard pregnancies. And she wanted to get them off of the screens, get them off of television, not have them so reliant on it. And so she started to figure out how to make these, little 5-10 minute crafts that she could set up for independent play, to foster independent play. She took that experience of hard pregnancies, postpartum, and too much screen for her kids and pretty much screen detoxing them and turn that into a digital offer. She also does it through ebooks, through guides. You can go and you can purchase one of her guides. And you have all of these activities that you can set up. Initially, it was for toddlers. Now her kids are older. So she's got older kids' activities as well, and experience. And she also had, because she had 2 under 2 right before I had 2 under 2. And so she also had a postpartum guide for moms with 2 under 2 to help like get you through that season, reasonable tactics that she had learned and experienced that can help the next person. And that's really what all this is about. That's really the whole point of taking your experience and turning it into income. That woman makes multiple 6 figures doing this. Last I checked. Yeah, and you know what I mean? And she's great. And her focus is Instagram. Me and Instagram, I don't know about that. But you don't have to be on Instagram, right? You can choose a platform. Like I said, my first thing sold on Facebook. A lot of what I do now sells on Pinterest and then back end funnels in the email. And, I keep my front facing stuff at more of like a teaching level, and I keep my back end stuff at more of like the nurture and sales level. You do what's best for you. What's best for one is not always best for the other. And that is something that I'm very adamant on. That is something that I preach on a lot. It is not my job, if you will. I don't take the responsibility in telling you like exactly what to do. I take the responsibility in helping you find the best strategy for you, right? One of my clients, she loves TikTok. She grew her TikTok to over like 12,000 followers, I believe it was, or 11,000 followers in 8 months. And her experience was anxious attachment after a breakup. And she took that experience, that life experience, and she's helping all the anxious attachment women through one-on-ones, through workshops. She created an ebook now, and let me see. I think that's it. She might have a group coaching. I'm not sure, but I know for sure she did one-on-ones, ebooks, and workshops. And that was how she took that experience and turned it into income. Her ebook, when she launched it, I remember talking to her in a case study. You can actually go read the case study on my Substack. But she took that ebook and launched it, and she made like $2,000 in the first 60 days. And this was the rough draft version. She's like, this wasn't even like the final version and stuff. So don't sleep on your experience. Turn it into income. I have the 4-step framework, how to turn your lived experience into income. I'll put that in the notes so that you can download that if you want and grab that freebie. If you're like, this sounds great, but I'm ready to take it a step further. I want to really like turn my experience and build a digital hierarchy. You want the multiple offers like what I talked about. That is exactly what I teach inside of the Empress Authority. It's a 4-phase program to take you from experience to an evergreen business model so that you can get paid for your experience without being tied to the internet, without being tied to social media, media, letting your backend systems work for you, all of that good stuff. So that is application only. I will put that in the show notes as well. Well, or there's no show here. I'll put that in the description as well. So you can apply to join us in there. And then the last thing I'll say, if you want a DIY approach, there is a course that I created called Digitalize Your Expertise that takes this entire process and breaks it down even more. And it also shows you how to set up the tech and all of that stuff in there. So all of three of those are going to be inside of the description, not the show notes. I'll put those in the description. And then, yeah, we'll take it from there. Other than that, at the very least, I'll be on next Wednesday for another training, but maybe you'll see me sooner. Anywho, bye everybody.